Aram, it's great to be talking with you today.
Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. I always see you at the office and we're waving to each other, but we haven't really had a chance to sit down and get to know each other, so I'm excited for it.
Yes, I know. Me too. I look forward to our dialogue and our conversation.
Awesome. Aram, how did you get into real estate?
Wow, that's a great question, and if you should ask. So, when I had just graduated high school, and I'm about to date myself, this is back in 1985, and I was looking for a career path. I actually wanted to become an automotive technician, or back in the days they used to call them mechanics. So I want to become a mechanic, work on exotic cars. And unlike most of my friends who at first decided to get their degrees from four-year college and universities, I started taking courses in Pasadena Community College, working towards my technical certification in the automotive field. And I also concurrently were taking some business courses because I was thinking if I'm going to have my own business, I should be able to run it as well. So as I was going through the curriculum of both business, the certification in business management as well as automotive technology, I realized, and I said, wait a minute, I don't have any relatives, friends, or family members who are in the automotive business. And I'm going to need somebody to help me with the capital. And thinking about all that was, I didn't think my parents had the capital to help me to start an automotive business once I graduated. And back then, I was also fascinated with real estate. So I said to myself, I'll go get my license. When I was 19, back in 1987, I'm still dating myself. I said, I'll get my license, and while I'm going through the curriculums, I will start selling real estate on the side. And the proceeds, the commissions that I would make from selling real estate, I would save all that. And then once I graduated, got my certifications, I'll start my own business. Well, it was very funny the way I started heading down the real estate path versus becoming an automotive a technician, or rather a mechanic. As I was working on cars, I started feeling more and more that the cars are really a hobby. I wasn't about to go out there and do what those brave souls do every day, cut themselves, burn themselves. It's heavy work. And to a certain degree, I enjoyed that, but I didn't think I can do that day in and day out. And yet, while I was taking business courses, I felt I had an aptitude in business. And then what better way to have my own business than becoming a real estate agent? So I did go through my education of getting those certifications. However, as I started doing real estate, in lieu of getting the capital to start my automotive business, I decided to stick with it. And then in the early 90s, and there was a small downturn with the market, and I decided I still like business, to get a bachelor's in finance. And I felt if I had a bachelor's degree in finance, and that would also help me in the real estate field of doing more complicated transactions, perhaps commercial real estate. So I did also get a bachelor's degree, and subsequently I worked at the corporate world from 1995 until 2005. I was with Prudential Insurance. I was with Warner Brothers as an analyst. And my last corporate position was with Washington Mutual as a senior financial analyst. And I really had that itch to get back into real estate. I really missed it. I love helping people to meet their real estate goals. And I felt I had the aptitude now more than ever to help people because of all my knowledge and experience from both my education and my previous positions. So in 2004, I was luckily laid off from Washington Mutual along with my colleagues, and I decided to go back into real estate full-time. So it came January 1st, 2005, I went back into real estate full-time. And ironically, this month, April, will mark my 19th anniversary of first being with Prudential, which is obviously this company previously, and then subsequently Holland Chambers, and now Coldwell Banker Hallmark Realty. So April 19th will mark my 19th year of being with this company as a full-time broker associate. And I've conquered and accomplished a lot of transactional, as well as interpersonal, as well as client challenges throughout the years, which has brought me to the point where I'm at now. I feel I'm stronger, better, and the resilience I've developed throughout the years will continue to help me help my clients in achieving their real estate goals.
That sounds like quite a journey.
It certainly has been, and I think it's still continuing.
Definitely.
And hopefully it will continue for a long time until retire. And I'm not planning to retire anytime soon, even though I'm dating myself.
So Aram, this industry is known to be very up and down.
Absolutely.
Not only with the market, but in general. It tests your character and, puts you to test your limits. What drives you?
That's excellent. Well, for many years, I've tested my limits to be able to endure the industry's testing of my limits. So again, back in the early 90s, I started becoming an endurance runner. I was a smoker in the early 90s, not a good thing. I was in my mid-20s, I was smoking. I was heavier than I am now. So my ultimate goal was to quit smoking, put that all behind me for once and for all, and become healthier and become in a better shape. So I took up running, and subsequently I became an endurance runner. I've done many LA marathons. My first LA marathon was in March of 1995. I would only been a runner for about a couple of years. And in 2004, I decided to get into triathlons, which combines swimming, cycling, and running. Well, to be in endurance sports, I think one has to have a very high level of incredible mindset to deal with physical adversities of the challenges of endurance racing. I had a great pleasure in 2008 of grabbing all my equipment, including my bicycle, flying to Frankfurt, Germany, and doing Ironman Germany. Now, those of you who don't know what an Ironman, it's the longest triathlon. It's 2.4 miles of swimming, it's 112 miles of cycling, and it's a full marathon of 26.2 miles. Well, that's a real good way of putting my mindset and challenging my endurance and challenging my abilities and challenging my not only my mental perhaps how can I put this, my mental walls perhaps as well as the physical ones. So I feel somehow the endurance sports that I've done kind of goes hand in hand with real estate. I feel in real estate you need to have that mindset, that endurance of dealing obviously with some rejection. Unfortunately, sometimes our transactions don't go the way we wanted, and the challenges and sometimes the adversities of the market conditions. So, for example, I've had races where the ocean condition has been horrible, but nobody would cancel the race. The race had to go on. So it was up to me whether I would step forward and put my foot in the cold water, 7 a.m. in the morning, starting a race that's going to take 3 hours, or go back home to my hotel and sleep. And I obviously went through it. The conditions weren't good. Sometimes the weather was horrible. I've endured racing in the rain, horrific winds. So the reason I'm going to all this is because I feel if one develops a mental toughness, they can carry that into other parts of their lives and deal with a lot of adversity and challenges that life, not only the real estate market has to bring sometimes, but so does life. So I hope that answers your question. Mm-hmm. I think it's just been my ability to adapt and deal with adversities and challenges. of
Right.
not only the business, but also my endurance racing.
And building that discipline and that mental toughness, can you credit perhaps a book or something that helped you kickstart that?
Well, I've read a lot of inspirational books. One is very obviously popular, and I suppose a lot of my colleagues have also read it. It's Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. And I've been inspired by a lot of racers, Armstrong, and some of the other, athletes throughout the world that have. Since I'm in endurance sport, by no means I can compare myself as far as that great of an athlete to win a gold medal in Olympics. But I can feel the challenges they have to achieve the goals that are set forth them. So I've been inspired by a lot of motivational speakers, such as Tony Robbins. I've been to a lot of his seminars. I've really enjoyed it. And also athletes throughout the world rather. Because I can understand where they're coming from.
Right.
Because of what I've done.
Yeah.
As a hobby.
And you can compare it as well to your life and your business and just your world.
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely. Yes.
That is awesome.
Absolutely.
One last question that I wanted to ask you. What can we expect in 2024 for your business? What do you foresee happening in the market?
That's a very profound question that you're asking. And I think one of the sayings that always goes in our business is, I don't really have a crystal ball. And I can't control the ocean, but I can train myself to deal with what the ocean has to bring. So what I feel, and one thing I've learned throughout all these years is this business is very dynamic, meaning it's constantly changing. Even it's not something adverse, it's something new. It's something that us, each individual agent needs to adapt to it and get comfortable with it. And if you can't adapt or comfortable, then you have to just endure the challenge and the adversity. So what I expect in this year to be very dynamic with my marketing approach, be very fluid and be very flexible with the way I deal with the market, with the new challenges that the industry has, and to make the best of it, to use best of me to make the best of the market that's out there. And I'm also striving towards new ways of, again, marketing and just being very dynamic and different than the past, because I need to mirror the market. The market is very dynamic and different from what it's been in the past. This is really funny. Sometimes I wish maybe I was an engineer. Not really, but I always feel with engineering, perhaps certain laws and certain regulations, at least the nature doesn't change. The gravity is always there. It's the same pull, so on and so forth. But that may not be the same with real estate. One day we have a certain kind of a gravitational pull, and the next day it's slightly different. So you need to adjust your formulas. You need to adjust your algorithms. You need to adjust your calculations. Of course, we're not engineers, but we need to shift to adapt to that new gravitational force or to that new forces that are pulling you, and perhaps use them as an advantage rather than running back to the hotel room and sleeping because of the cold water, or because of the stormy water, or because the ocean has full of logs. There was a horrible storm the day before the race, and you have to swim through those logs. Trust me, I experienced that back in 2005. It was called the Strawberry Fields, the race in Oxnard. That was a horrible ocean race, but I did it.
That is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. One last question. Why don't you share with us one of the biggest challenges that you faced in your business, or a very challenging transaction, and how you got through it?
I can tell of one specific transaction that was so challenging. and yet so oddly different from any other transaction. That's worthy of just mentioning. So a few years back, I believe it was maybe 2016, I had a very dear client, or clients rather, who had sold them a few properties. And I received a call from my client, and she says, you know what, unfortunately, I'm at odds with my siblings, and the family home needs to be sold, and it's a probate situation. And what was challenging about that, the sister and brother, I was representing the sister, she's my client, I didn't know the brother. They were at odds with each other. So the brother had hired agents from another brokerage, and she had hired me to represent her side. So we had to sort of cut the house, not physically, of course, but half of it was being represented by me, representing her, and half of it by the other brokerage.
Oh my gosh.
So there was a multi-level challenge. The first challenge was, I need to convince the other side, the other agents, hey, I don't have an adversarial relationship. It's just that I need to represent my client, and it's really not between us, it's between our clients that we need to come to common terms. Well, one side of the listing, which I represented, was probate, the other side wasn't. And if anyone is familiar with the probate transactions, sometimes it may be court approved or not court approved. Well, to top everything off, this had to be court approved. So after 7-8 months of dealing with different probate attorneys, going back and forth with each side, we show up at the court to conclude the transactions. And it was very funny. The parties, it was the other side's agents, and they even brought their attorney just to make sure they get the commission for no other reason. And but we were on very good terms. It was very good. It was a teamwork with the other brokerage, me versus the other agents. And thank God that transaction finally, after 7-8 months, was brought to conclusion successfully.
Wow.
It was a close. My client got what she wanted, and the other side got what they wanted. So it was a win-win situation. But that was very challenging because it was a multi-layer level of challenges that I had to deal with. I had to use my best interpersonal skills to convince the other side to be cooperative. And then I had to obviously keep my client happy and let them know that I'm obviously have her best interest and my fiduciaries towards her. But yet, if this needs to happen, then I need to be cooperative and make sure everything is fair and equitable,
right,
especially for her. But they had to get something out of it too. So wow, that was challenging. A lot of paperwork. I think it was a phone book full of paperwork that had to be done.
Wow.
And I don't think our TCs were very happy, but it was done. It was done.
It was completed and it closed.
It was completed and closed. That was equivalent to probably one of the toughest triathlons I've ever done. Very stormy oceans. Nasty winds.
Oh my gosh. That sounds amazing though. I really appreciate speaking with you today.
Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you for sharing, your journey in real estate, and I'm looking forward to sitting with you again and chatting.
Thank you. Looking forward to chatting with you as well.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.